couple of deep breaths, get ready to focus on a passage, and then we will start. We'll get rocking as usual. Your passage will be divided across certain slides, usually paragraph by paragraph, but wherever paragraphs are bigger, I cannot really do that. So the paragraphs would also or could be really broken. So please make sure that you go ahead and that you look into that. Okay, so are we ready? Okay, so here is the first part of the passage for you. Oh, so many people saying hello today, and I suddenly see a lot of new icons to the right of the chat. A heart, a smiley, a bouquet sort of thing, a shocking thing, 100. I mean, these guys keep bringing in something or the other. Okay, so let's start guys, let's start focusing. Oh, Ansari, thank you. Here, I'm glad that we could help you in your journey, in your pursuit. And it's even better to see you here again. Okay, shall we move over to the next slide? Yes. Okay, so here is the next one. Come on, just let me know the moment you're done reading it. Hopefully you're done now. Next. Wow, Vinayak, that's a healthy reading speed. So that's the last slide. You'll have questions hereafter. Anything that you need to ask or know or discuss? Okay, so ready for the question? Here is the first one. What is the root cause of the fact that man, though born good, resorts to criminal behavior? Remember the paragraph it was mentioned in? Use the seeker to go back to that location, read it carefully, then come back to the options, start eliminating. Okay. Right, so let me refer to a part of the passage where we are talking about human wickedness, political system, people become criminals, this is the fault of the system, right? And it arises out of the erroneous view that the problem of production has been solved. Second paragraph is the one where we talked about this, and if you refer to that part, you'd realize that B comes the closest to it. So when you say D, modern man is beset with the problem of being in conflict with nature, yes, it is mentioned in the passage, but it is not mentioned in the context of man resorting to criminal behavior. And similarly, if you look at C, the system is handled by people who do not want to mend it. This part is not even mentioned in the passage, right? So we can skip this. So the best answer is indeed option B. And here is question number 2, where we are looking at either a specific detail or an inference based question. Let us see which one. Let me just highlight that we are being asked for something that is not true. Okay, not. So just go ahead, label them as true, not true. So we're getting A so far. Anybody else? Okay, loads and loads of A. Let me take you back to a part of the passage. Hang on, what was the option once again? Suffer from a common problem. Okay. So the arising of this error is closely connected with the philosophical, not to say religious changes. But since whole world is now in a process of westernization, the more generalized statement appears to be justified. So the arising of this error is linked with certain changes, and those changes, according to the author, can actually be generalized, can be applied to everyone. So A should not be called not true, no? We should look at A and say that this is true. And then there is this another sentence that says, as this error pervades all present day systems, there is at present not much to choose between them. Let me just, this is also see this part, as this error pervades all present day systems, there is at present not much to choose between them. If I look at these two places, we can definitely label A as true. So let's look at B. The powers that man believes that he has are not enough to give him complete victory over nature. True. In fact, this is here in the last part, but not so well so as to bring the possibility of total victory into view. So B is also true. C, man's attitude toward nature has undergone sea changes in the last few centuries. Has anyone marked that as the answer? No. So you already determined that this is true. D, the Western man through his domination seeks to represent the whole of mankind. Now this part, seeks to represent the whole of mankind, has not been mentioned anywhere in the passage. Therefore, we cannot call it true. This will be like cannot be determined, which is another way of saying that it is not true. So this not mentioned, that is why it is not true, and that is why the answer should be option D over any other answer choice. I skipped C because all of you figured out that that was true. Here is the third question for you. What is the most likely outcome of the battle that man has waged against nature? Sorry, not war. Thank God I caught it just in time. So which one? Prasanna is saying Che. Huh? You're trying to remind me of Guevara. So C it is. I think all of you have gotten this absolutely spot on. This in fact can be had from the last paragraph. If any of you is not able to see where it can be derived from, this part. See, he even talks of a battle with nature, forgetting that if he won the battle, he would find himself on the losing side. So this is the sentence which very clearly helps us arrive at option C. So that's the correct one. When you look at A, since I see a couple of us who've chosen that, a win some lose some situation, no, we are going to be on the losing side. Okay, and with that, let's switch over to our next passage. So this passage happened to have longer paragraphs, so I had to kind of split them very often, but I hope you'll use the seeker of your YouTube video to maintain that continuity. So one passage done, the second one starts. So I try to expose you to different kind of subject matters here. What is special about this passage is that, we often talk about our familiarity with the subject matter. Another aspect of familiarity is a familiarity with the kind of language that is being used, even if the subject matter is something that is very well known. So this is a passage which will test, which will challenge your familiarity with the kind of language that is used here. Hi Shraddha, let's get cracking Shraddha. Let's just dive into the passage straight away. Good Vaishnav, good Anjala, Nidhi, terrific. Next one, the rest of the paragraph. Okay, Sepali, the first one to finish this part. Others, guys, others, come on. Okay, next. Fabulous, fabulous, guys. Okay, so ready for the question. And how was the language, by the way? Did you have to pause at a sentence, reread it in order to figure out what is this? What is it trying to convey? Okay, so question. Yes, absolutely, Deblina. Vedant, not exactly poetry, it is a slightly older style of writing. Back then, people used to read more, so they could handle longer sentences. I mean, we are basically a TikTok, YouTube Shorts generation, Instagram Reel generation. We at times struggle to follow a train of thought. In fact, according to a particular survey, the average attention span of a human being online is around, I'd say, 3 seconds. So you have to grab the attention within the 3 seconds, otherwise the person will move over to the next short or the next reel or whatever. And that is why it is absolutely great to see so many of you who turn up here day after day, where we sit down together, put in so much of effort and focus and concentration that it's amazing. Okay, so this is more of a specific detail question, and this is where it is mentioned. So notice, there is, however, one of these last which was so remarkable in its details and so startling in its results that I am tempted to give some account of it. So the reason is, the author found that case remarkable and startling. Remarkable in details, startling in results. So I am basically looking for an answer choice that gives me remarkable and startling. Remarkable details, startling results, if I want to be even more accurate. Does A give it? Founded on conjecture rather than logical ability? Nope. B? Nope. C? Astounding characteristics, astonishing results? That's close. So let's keep this in running. D? No equals in terms of uniqueness. I think C is better at capturing that idea, right? Remarkable details, startling results. D somehow generalizes it, makes it vague. And therefore, if I have to go ahead and pick up one, we'd go ahead and pick up C as our answer of the given lot. So very often I treat, why so very often? In fact, almost always I treat reading comprehension as math. I go to the relevant part of the passage, and in my mind I put an is equal to and then the answer choice, and then I think, does this equal to this option? If yes, then great. If no, then I move on. So, try it. Hopefully you'd also notice that your accuracy will improve. Next question. This is easy, guys. This is easy. Okay, Deblina has shared her answer. What about the rest of you? Give me 3 more answers, yeah. Come on, fast. Yes, 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 and yes. The correct answer is indeed option D, and I'm sure all of you will get it right, and that's indeed the case. So let me take you over to the next one. Which of the following is not true as per the passage? Specific detail question, use the seeker, go back to the relevant parts, and then tell me what you think. Abhi, I think we'd have to go ahead and maybe conduct a session on that. I would require to write down certain things, and also let's create a session and take that soon. Although it won't take us long, but yeah, it'll be good to at least. So Vaishnav, if you have to go with one, which one would you go? Which one would you go with? गौरव बिल्कुल 100% देना चाहिए, एब्सोल्युटली, और इस पूरे कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ तैयारी भी करनी है और पेपर भी देना है कि होएगा अपना, और हो जाएगा यार, कोशिश करते हैं. हाँ, सो डी is true, no? We are being asked for something that is not true. Let us see. Let me take you back to the relevant part. Here it is. Home sat moodily while I at the other was deep in one of Clark Russell's fine sea stories. So you notice D is true. So D, because we are being asked for what is not true, D should not be our answer. The wind that particular day was unusual in its intensity, absolutely. Remember gale, equinoctial gales, so definitely a storm, so that's also true. This is also ruled out, so that leaves you with B and C. B, some of the cases did not merit mention in the papers. You notice papers have been highlighted because we are talking about these papers. So what is the object of these papers? The peculiar qualities which my friend possessed, to illustrate those qualities. So some of those cases have already gained publicity through the papers, and others have not offered a field for those peculiar qualities, and which it is the object of these papers to illustrate. So cases that are already well known are things that as a result the author can avoid, and consequently I say B is closer to being true, whereas if you look at C, some of these cases may have baffled the writer's friends. This part is true, but look at the second half. But he always had the upper hand in the end. This is something that cannot be determined on the basis of the information supplied by the passage. So C is definitely not true, and that is why the best answer, so between B and C is the better one, and we should go ahead and choose them. Sneha asks, TISS college mein only TCS company mein placement hai? Arey nahi, not at all. Sneha, not at all. If you want to get into HR, amazing place to go to, and there are loads of companies that come there, that recruit from there, and it has an absolutely fabulous and phenomenal network if you want to get HR jobs. Okay, so here are the next set of questions. You've been given a paragraph with a blank. Choose the most appropriate sentence for the blank from the options that are given to you. So para completion, here is the paragraph. Let me know once you are done. Okay, so here are the options. Unfortunately, I could not fit the paragraph and the options all onto a single slide with a reasonable font size. So please make sure that you use the seeker to go back to the relevant parts and then answer the question. Ooh, I am good at grammar. And because I am good at grammar, I've managed to rule out 2 of these answer choices straight away. Bonus marks for anyone who could tell me which 2 answers I have ruled out on the basis of grammar and why. Okay, so but and however, what is the difference between the two? But is a conjunction, however is an adverb. What that tells us is that but can be used to join 2 parts in a sentence, however cannot be used to join 2 parts together. It's an adverb after all. And as a result, if I want to use however, because it is not a conjunction, it can never. So if I take you back, look at the last bit. There is a comma here, which means that whatever comes here needs to be connected to the rest of the sentence. So however cannot even perform that job. In order to use however, you need to have either a full stop, a period, or a semicolon before. If you do not have a period or a semicolon separating the 2 ideas, you cannot even use however. If you do that, that will be grammatically incorrect, and therefore I did not bother with C and D. And that's why I very often say that, hey, we should study grammar because it directly indirectly helps us in the exam. So it's one of those situations where it is helping us indirectly. So C and D are ruled out. That leaves you with A and B. Now if we look at the paragraph, the universe itself has not been eternal as our senses might indicate at first glance, but has lived. So our senses suggest the universe is eternal, but universe is not eternal, but joins 2 opposite ideas together, right? And that opposite idea is given to us by A, so we'll choose that as an answer. But our senses give us the right knowledge? No, that won't fit in. In fact, the paragraph itself tells us that the universe, according to those religious ideologies, is not eternal, and therefore whatever our senses say is deceiving, and thus B should be ruled out. It does not justify the use of but. Okay, so I hope you are adept at looking at all of these transitional expressions by now. If not, start paying attention to it. It's a small little area, but very useful when it comes to answering paragraph based questions. The next one, please read this and then I will take you over to the options, of course. Notice this, peoples. Is this correct? Is this grammatically correct? Vaishnav, I'm glad that our minds are gradually moving in sync. That's exactly what I want. So all I can tell you is that the way I approach it ensures that I consistently have more than 99.9 percentile in VARC. So, well, that's good, right? So Ranit, the use of peoples here and the others who are wondering, it's absolutely correct. People actually happens to have two meanings. One meaning is a group of individuals, okay, and then there is this other meaning where people is used to refer to members of a particular group or citizens of a particular country. In that second meaning, people is a countable noun, where people is singular and peoples is plural. So because here we are saying peoples, we are talking about citizens of America, citizens of the USA and citizens of Japan together. So that's absolutely correct in this context. And if you've read the paragraph, here are the options. Tell me what you'd like to choose as your answer. You strictly use elimination, particularly when it comes to the last sentence of the paragraph. Imagine a person was talking and then he suddenly stopped. What we know is that the next sentence that he would have uttered would have completed his paragraph. Okay, so there are multiple directions in which a person can go from that point. So just use elimination. Don't look for what will fit in here. Look for which all do not fit in. Eliminate those and the one that is left should be your answer. Okay, Saket. So what is the overall tone of the paragraph? The paragraph appreciates the gesture of apologizing, thinks it is all right, it should be done, or it is against it. The paragraph is in favor of these gestures or against these gestures. Shall we go back? See, conspicuous gestures of reconciliation between nations too. Now look at this positive word, to heal, will have connotations that go beyond the symbolic. So it'll have a real impact. Then it goes on to talk about the Japanese Prime Minister and the US President engaging in those acts. Once again, look at this. They're calling it bold journey. Difficult, at the same time bold. So overall, positive, right? So if I look at B and D, B says, in the case of Japan, the conservatives have long regarded any attempt to own up the slaughter of hundreds of US Marines at Pearl Harbor as nothing but a betrayal of. So own up is nothing but a betrayal of the national interest. That goes against the theme of the paragraph, which is in favor of it. Similarly, if you look at D, as for Washington, veterans of the war have seen little justification, where little basically means no. No justification in the claim that the devastation caused by the twin nuclear bombing has to be condoled, that you need to offer your condolences. So both B and D go against the theme of the paragraph and therefore should be eliminated. Can B and D be used as the last sentence here? They can be, but because they are contradictory, now you need to introduce or insert a word that shows that we are moving towards the opposite direction. But a paragraph does not happen to have any such word, and therefore I'd suggest that B and D can be skipped. Now that leaves you with A and C. C starts with in fact. When do we use in fact? In fact shows a similar idea. So when you use in fact, then the sentence before and the sentence after in fact should have a similar idea. And the part that comes after in fact should actually elaborate upon the earlier idea. But right before the blank, we are talking about Barack Obama, right? We are not even talking about low-key affairs. and therefore if we put in C, we'll not be able to justify the use of in fact, so C is also ruled out, and that is why the best answer here should be A. Now don't even think of, as I said initially, why A. I'm saying we know why it cannot be B, C and D. Okay, and A is consistent with the paragraph. This can be used as a thought that extends it forward, so that's absolutely all right. And with that, now let us get into a couple of parajumbles. 4 sentences, jumbled, no options. These are non-MCQs, so please make sure that you share your answers in the comment box with me. Here is the first question. A little bit of warm up, and hopefully you'll be able to answer. हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल, बहुत अच्छा होता है लौकी घिया दोनों, बहुत अच्छी चीज़ें होती है, खानी चाहिए हमारे दुश्मनों को. Prasanna, that was quick. Ranit has also followed suit. Oh my, that warms my heart. You guys are absolutely spot on. It should be 2, 1, 3, 4. Indeed. Let's go. So here is the next one, slightly bigger, but when it is bigger, you know that there are more clues as well, and therefore they should be easy. Just treat it as a puzzle and tell me what you think. Okay. So I could see that there is a sentence that talks about artificial nets created from fiberglass suffering from high temperatures, and then look at one, exceed certain and putting eggs at risk of overheating. So 4 and 1 kind of go together, and then 2 and 3 also kind of go together. Okay, because in one nest there is a risk of eggs overheating, in the other one there is no risk of overheating. So the question now is, we have 4, 1, we have 2, 3, which one should come before, which should come later? So when we look at 2, it starts with but. That brings in the contrast. So it is better to put 2 after 4 and 1. And that is why it should be 4, 1. Writing it up here, 2, 3. That works. So just treat it as a puzzle and you'd usually be good to go. Of course, parajumbles can at times be ambiguous, but as you keep practicing, as you keep thinking, as you keep getting better, your ability to deal with all that ambiguity will also be enhanced. And here is one slightly different question for you today. Read the paragraph and answer the question that follows. Okay, so here is the paragraph for you. Please read this once and then we'll see. Done. Okay, so two of you have confirmed that they have read it. All right. So which of the following most accurately expresses the main point of the argument? Kind of summary, right? Except that when the paragraph presents an argument, the summary, the main idea will be the conclusion that is arrived at. And we know that most of the questions that we get are actually technically anyway main idea questions. They're not exactly entirely summaries. So, Fox, tell me. So the main point, C says it is less likely that alcohol consumption is causing the current prevalence of severe liver disease than that the consumption of both alcohol and cola is caused by the depression brought about by the recession. Is the author saying that alcohol is responsible? The author is saying that people were drinking cola even earlier. Right. So and therefore, if you look at the main point, it is actually going to be D. It is more likely that's the soda and not alcohol which is causing that severe liver disease. Now, C also adds a lot of different things. Less likely that plus, and it also goes ahead and depression brought about by the recession, which is unnecessary when it comes to the main point. So you remember, when it comes to the summaries, one of the key things that we look for is conciseness as well. And besides, in this question, we've not even been technically asked for a summary. Right? So besides, you notice there is a distortion as well. If you read it carefully, it also goes on to suggest that even the drinking of the alcohol was caused by depression, which is definitely wrong. So notice, consumption of both alcohol and cola is caused by the depression. So where does the paragraph say that the consumption of alcohol was caused by depression? That craving for the cola was definitely caused by depression, but the craving for alcohol, that's a distortion as well. And therefore, I think we can rule out C and prefer D. So that's about the questions that will help you directly in the CAT, and a lot of it also has to do with our mindset. So this is for you. Getting some questions wrong? Keep working on them. Keep learning from the mistakes. Keep working on them. show up every day, and eventually you will reach a stage where you will run out of mistakes to make. And that is when great scores, great percentiles happen. So if you liked working with me today, you want me to bring in more such sessions, please make sure that you like this video.